All right, we are live.
Hey,
Hello,
hey.
everyone. Welcome to the Belief Breakthrough Show. It is going to be an amazing night tonight because we have one of the most amazing, inspirational women I can introduce you guys to. This is Elizabeth Eckford sitting next to me. And you guys, we only met a short while ago, back in September of 2020. And she came to me, and the energy she had about her, I fell in love with immediately. But it was through working with her over the last few months, and really watching the transformation of her life that has inspired me and given me, just empowered me to help other women like herself. And seeing as how this month is New Year, New You, and it's not about dieting and exercising per se and like getting our body physically healthy. This month is all about diving in deep and getting our mind, body, and soul healthy. Because if our bodies are neglected, it's because something in our mind and body are neglected. And when you're dealing with trauma that is unseen, that we have to actively deal with in order to heal ourselves. And so, with that, I want to introduce you to Elizabeth and let her tell you guys a little bit about why she came to me and what her realizations were when she came, and how working on herself in the last few months has really enhanced her life. So, go ahead.
Well, Tina, thank you first of all for allowing me to come on your show. This is such a great privilege and opportunity. I really appreciate that. And the story is kind of well, it's mine. But I met Tina because I had just in January. Actually, it will be a year on the 19th of this month that I lost my mother. And I was at a point where I just couldn't seem to kind of find my way through. I've grown up in a family, a Christian family background, pastor's kid, and we've always been taught to kind of push through, forge through, and I'd done that most of my life. And when I lost my mom, it was almost as if the strength that I had always kind of depended on or leaned on, I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it at all. With all of the praying that I knew how to do, and pushing forward and being strong and to keep going and all of those things, I could not seem to find that area, that avenue, that canal where I could kind of dip from. And one thing that I started thinking about even before the show, we go to the doctor. If we have a cold, we go to the doctor and we get medicine, right? If we have allergies, we go and get allergy medicine. If there's something going on with our eyes, we go to the eye doctor. But, especially in Black culture, we have a tendency not to want to deal with counseling or therapy in any kind of way if we have something going on with our mental or our emotional health. And I was at a point where I no longer cared, because I could see that if I did not get help, if I did not go to the doctor, if I did not get therapy done, I was not going to make it. I was going to die. And I mean that not just emotionally and mentally, but possibly even physically. And I had people around me, friends around me that tried to help me, but they couldn't reach me because I was not reachable. I was not in a space where I was able to actually receive help. I couldn't see the help. I couldn't hear the help. And so I had a friend that referred me to Tina and said that you might want to go talk with her and see if she can help you. But this friend told me, she said, you have to be ready to be completely honest. And that week that she told me that, I told her, I said, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to be completely honest. I was in a situation that wasn't very helpful for me, and I just did not want to move. And what I recognized, the reason why I didn't want to move was because I was just riddled with fear, and found out that was really kind of the base of how I was operating in my life all these years. I was afraid to do things. And so the situation happened where I was in a place where I was so toxic that relationship, um, part of that was because of me. And I've come to realize that. I thought that, oh, someone had done me so wrong. But the reality was I was so messed up. So I had to find someone that was going to help me. And so I think maybe it was about a week or so later, I actually contacted Tina and let her know that I needed to come see her. And in that process, that first meeting, she told me, she said, before we can do anything, I need to deal with the tears behind your eyes. And that just broke me. That broke me from the very beginning, because I knew that there was a lot of pain. And I knew that it was time to get rid of it. And I wasn't concerned about what people were saying. I wasn't concerned about, well, what the church folks are going to say. I love God. I minister, in the church and all of these things. But I knew that I needed not just my doctor Jesus, but I also needed a doctor to actually help me walk through all of the trauma and the pain that I'd been holding all of these years.
Absolutely. Now I want to back up a little bit, because what I found really interesting was you said I was so toxic that I was creating others to be toxic. Now let's dive into that, because we talk about that now because that's our verbiage. We understand it at this point in our lives. But
right.
For those out there that don't understand what toxic environment or toxic people or toxic emotions, what that feels like, when you refer to I was so toxic, what do you mean by that?
When I refer to it, I operated in a state of anger all the time, and I did not understand why. I was angry all the time. I was angry. So what that did was that it caused me to either shut down or to explode on someone over some of the smallest things, because I had so much pain, so much hurt, so much fear on the inside of me. So I really did not, and I think that these things are starting to come out with me now, because I am available to examine every emotion and every thought that is happening in my life. I didn't realize it then, but I was angry. So my responses to people were angry. I was fearful. So I would block people off or cut people off, or kind of hoard in things, not give. And the weird thing was that I grew up in a family and I knew I was a giver. I knew that's the kind of person I was, that I gave. But in this space where I wasn't giving. I was frustrated all the time. I was irritated all the time. I wanted to be around people when I wanted to be around them, and I didn't want to be around them when I didn't want to be around them. And if you are in a space where you're living with other people, you cannot do that. You cannot just ignore people the way you want to. So as I look at my responsibility in everything that was happening, I realized I was just as toxic as the people that I was actually accusing of being toxic. So that's kind of tough to take, but at the same time, it's necessary to free me.
Absolutely. And working through that toxicity and eliminating it from yourself, you actually are freeing yourself from the restraints of the pain that is holding you back. And so that's a huge release. Now, I heard you talk about cutting people off, and I know this is something me and you have talked about. And anyone who's watching right now, feel free to comment in, because we can see your comments. We can respond to your comments. If you have questions, please throw them at us, because we would love to answer them. But I know that while me and you were conversating about cutting people off, and we kind of attributed that back to a defense mechanism from past traumas. If you saw them reflecting the trauma that we'd been through that had hurt us so deeply before, we would just eliminate them or cut them from our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, you can't do that. And so I found myself doing that too, like with my husband, where he would say something to me that would hurt me or trigger me from a past trauma or experience. And rather than say,
Yes.
hey, babe, that really hurt me. Maybe I misunderstood you. Can you correct me? Because this is how I took it. Is that what you
Yes.
meant? I would just say, okay, I'm never going to talk to him about this part of my life ever again. I'm not going
Right.
to allow him into this section. I'm going to
Right.
talk to my girlfriends about my business, but I'm not going to share my gifts with him. And eventually
Right.
I got to this point in 2019 when I looked at our marriage and I realized that the only part of our marriage we shared was our bed. And I was like,
Wow.
that is a
Okay.
really scary place to be, where emotionally I have completely
Yeah.
out. And this needs
Yes.
to change, because this isn't coming from him. This is coming from me. And this is
Yes.
the problem, because I think we both talked about that switch that flips. Like once we've decided this person's done, it's like all emotions cut off. You are no longer
Everything.
welcome into the circle. Goodbye.
Everything. Yes.
And
Yes.
so I have to go
Everything.
back and forgive him for hurting me, even if it wasn't his intention, but then even more so
Right.
forgive myself,
Right.
because it was
Right.
me that was hurting me by cutting him off.
Right. I had always, and my issue was I had always just cut people off because I was afraid that they were going to cut me off. And in this last situation, while I did get cut off, for the first time, I guess I dealt with why I got cut off. Because once again, the foundation of all of that was I was fearful of everything. I was fearful of engaging, but I was fearful of being rejected. You know, I was fearful of staying places, but I was fearful of walking away. And, you know, being fearful causes you to just shut down everything that seems like it's going to be a potential, you know, a disaster. It feels like a disaster to you. And so you have a tendency to cut off. And while I did cut off, this last time I did cut off people, but I didn't cut them off for probably the reasons that they think. I cut them off because I needed to deal with myself. And I needed to make sure that I was healed for myself. And I needed to be able to see Liz, not pay attention to what they were doing, but what was I doing in this situation? I'm sorry.
Oh, that's really important to understand that.
Yeah, I couldn't seem to find Liz in the situation. So I had to cut off. And in dealing with the trauma of my mother, I was focused on making sure that I not continue to create harm. It's weird because I always thought that I was a person, my idea has always been, when people come into my company, I want to make sure that they leave and that they feel good. And I saw that going completely away. That people no longer wanted to be in my company, whether they had their own issues or not. That wasn't my problem. My problem was, how are people coming into your space and how are they feeling when they leave your space? I felt that was my responsibility. And at this point, I wasn't offering anything. At least that's how I felt. Right. That's how I was thinking about it. I wasn't offering anyone anything that when they left, they would actually feel better leaving my space.
And what an epiphany that is, when you realize, I'm going to cut people off because I need to fix myself, because I'm harming people that come into my space. I'm not giving them what I desire to give them, because there's nothing left in here to give.
Right. Right.
It's too filled with pain and heartache and despair and self-defense and all these things. And so it's easier for you to point your finger at others and say it's all their fault, But when you're
Right.
able to turn that finger at yourself and say, this is the problem right here, if there's one
Yes.
common denominator and that common denominator is me, something
Yes.
needs to change.
That's right.
And so
That's
when
right.
you got to that point in your journey where you're like, it's me, something needs
Mm-hmm.
to change,
Yes.
what did you do to make that change?
Well, I came to you first, and we would talk. But then I had to go home and I had to be by myself. I was going to be by myself, so I had to do the work then. So as thoughts came up, as feelings and emotions came up, I allowed that pain. I allowed whatever the thought was. I would kind of sit it down, and you told me to get a journal. And I'm an English professor, so it wasn't hard to get a journal and start writing things down and kind of just kind of listing them out. This is what I'm feeling right now, and I'm not sure why I'm feeling this. So I would just do what we call in English a free write.
Mm-hmm.
And my free write actually turned into pages and pages of just information that would help me kind of walk through a thought or walk through an emotion. So I did that. That was one of the things that I did. The other thing that I did was that I did not lose my faith. I went down on my knees. I prayed and I asked God. I said, God, you have to help me here. If I can share this story, it was just really, really strange. It was a strange occurrence for me. And I was afraid. I was afraid of it. And I think rightfully so. After my mother left, and I did end up coming back to this apartment, I could actually feel a presence of death in this apartment.
Mm.
And it was like it was sitting right next to me on the couch, kind of waiting to see what I wanted to do. And I spoke to it, Tina, and I told it, I said, I'm not ready to go with you. I don't want to walk anywhere with you. I need you to leave my house. And while it didn't leave immediately, it took some time through the journaling and through me praying and asking God to heal me, and through going to you and you talking me through and just kind of showing me some of the things that were actually sitting right there, dealing with past hurts all the way back to when I was 4 years old, and then reading not just the scriptures, but reading some self-healing books with all of those things, because I was serious. I wanted to heal. I wanted to be better, and you have to want to be better.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to be better, it can't come. And there's work that comes with that. The same way, and I'm getting to it, the same way you got to work out to get rid of the weight, you have to work mentally and emotionally. And going to a healer, going to a counselor. I also had extra counseling classes, but after I talked, I had to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
I had to sit down, and one of the things that I had always run from was pain. I think relationships has always been a challenge for me because I did not like pain. I would run from pain. That's another piece that caused me to cut people off. I don't want pain. So if you're going to bring me pain, you have to go. And this time around, I couldn't run, especially from the pain of my mother no longer being here.
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn how to embrace that pain. And it was weird. As I began to embrace the pain, there was a peace that came. And then I began to feel strength, and I began to feel growth on the inside of me.
Mm.
So that peace and that strength helped me to grow and helped me really to start walking emotionally and mentally again.
Yeah. I think it's really important for us to understand many of us in this world don't want pain. We don't want to feel it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to embrace it even. And so we choose
Yeah.
to walk around it. But
Right.
It's only through walking through the pain, sitting in it, feeling it, digesting it, learning from
Yes.
it, that you can then move through it and past it,
Yes.
and it no longer haunts you.
Yes.
And so a lot of
Yeah.
people that are stuck in their pain, that are stuck in their trauma, they are too fearful to take the action and do the work to move through it because they're too
Yeah.
scared to embrace that pain. Do you
Yeah.
feel like you could have worked through this pain on your own?
No, because I didn't have I had never worked on myself like this
Mm.
in my entire life. I had never worked on myself in this way. So to actually see who I am, I could not have done this by myself. There's absolutely no, sometimes, there's, and that, I guess that was another part of my problem. You learn how to be strong, you learn how to do things on your own, you learn how to forge through, you become independent, and you never learn the beauty and the value of interdependence, where there is someone there that can help you through different things. You got to be willing to be interdependent. And I never was interdependent. It was always, I can handle this on my own. This situation, this 2020, and the loss of I could not handle any of that on my own. So no, I wouldn't have gotten it because I didn't have the tools to actually walk through what was happening to me. I wasn't aware of who I was
Yeah.
at all.
And
So I needed help with that. Yeah.
I think that's really common for people to not realize who they are, to not see it. We sit here and we tell ourselves we're strong, we're independent, we're confident women, we can do anything that we want, because that's almost like a defense.
And that's true. But it's not true if you're broken.
Yeah, that's where I'm getting at, is when you're drowning in your pain and you're so deep, you can no longer see the shoreline, and you need someone to grab your rope and pull you back in.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Now that you've gone through this process, you've acknowledged it, you've done the action, you've put in the work.
Yes.
What does your life look like now?
My God. Well, I was sharing this with you, and I was sharing this with a few other people. Since September, I was really completely by myself in September. And since September, because I opened up, there are people in my life that I did not even know were there to help me. I didn't know you prior to September. And this is where I don't want to get into the preachy part, but I know that this is God's provision for me. So God brought you this way so that I could get the help that I needed to heal. And there have been other people. I have gained friends, not just in the United States. I've gained friends across the world that have been instrumental in helping me in different areas of my life. So while I was going through the healing sessions with you and the counseling sessions, I gained a prayer partner that has been praying with me. We've been praying since September and doing different things that has strengthened me in such an incredible way. We have studied the scriptures together. There's been a lot of things that have just been happening that would not have happened. People that I hadn't talked to in years, I mean like over 10, 15 years, we're starting to talk again. My relationship with my family was pretty much not there at all. And I just had a conversation with one of my cousins that our relationship seemed to be strained. And this past Saturday, I called her up and I said, "Cousin, we need to talk. I've had some problems." And we talked for about 45 minutes on the phone. So the relationships in my life that I thought were dead just started coming back to life. People that I hadn't talked to I'm telling, I'm serious. Years are they're coming back, and they're saying, hey, how are you doing? I know we haven't talked in a long time. I just got a Facebook message from some of my Eckford family, because I grew up in a blended family. So some of my Eckford family is calling and saying, I want to get to know every single one of my relatives. Are you? I believe we're all related. So where are you? And those different kinds of things like that are starting to happen. So I mean, there have been so many blessings that have come about. I'm in the process of purchasing a house, and just my career couldn't be any better. The only thing that I'm working on, I'm working on this weight, man, this weight. But I believe, and you told me this, that once I get all these things kind of balanced emotionally and mentally, that strength that I've been using for that, I'll have it for this weight.
Absolutely.
And I'm working on it right now. I'm working on the eating part right now. So,
have you seen any changes?
I know it's going to come off. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Have you seen any changes physically in your body? Any health improvements?
I'm not as sluggish as I used to be. During this time, people are like, I don't want to do anything but sleep. Mm-hmm. But I'm finding myself to be a little bit more just active.
Yeah.
If I'm not able to walk outside, and I haven't been able to walk outside, I'm walking in here sometimes and cleaning up and moving stuff and changing stuff. And so I'm finding that to be that's good. And just mentally, I'm not as foggy as I used to be.
That's awesome. I love it.
And I still have days, I still have sad days, thinking about my mom, but not like they were.
Yeah.
Not like they were at all. Yeah. So, yeah.
Now, if there is a woman out there right now sitting here watching this show, and she is to this point where she's like, I don't think I'm where I want to be. I am tired of hurting. I am tired of feeling like I'm not enough. I am tired of being angry and bitter. What would you say to her?
I would basically tell her that there is a way through what you are experiencing at this very moment. You do not, and I understand you being tired. I understand you feeling like this feeling will never go away. I understand the fact that you have been comfortable. This feeling has been with you so long that it's become natural, and it feels like it's normal, but it is not. And in order for you to get to a place where maybe you want to, if you decide that you are tired and really sick and tired of being tired, I would encourage you to reach out to someone for help. And I'm going to recommend this lady that I'm talking to right now.
Well, thank you.
I'm going to recommend her for you to start, because she will help you dig deep pretty much from the beginning. But the key to it, which is what my other friend told me, the key to it is that you got to be ready to be honest about everything. You don't have to expose yourself to a bunch of people, but you have to be ready to expose yourself to you. You got to be true and honest with you, but reach out to someone that has the tools to help you break through the anger, break through the pain, show you how to deal with the pain, help you walk through this pain, help you and show you how to breathe, help you and show you how to think through things. You
Absolutely.
have to be ready to walk through that.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, you know, I don't do a whole lot of social media, but I am available
And
to
she's
talk to
amazing
you
too.
as well.
She's amazing. I've been watching your live feeds. I love them.
I'm available to talk to you too,
Yeah.
because I understand. And one other thing, please understand this, that no one has the right to designate the amount of time that you should be struggling emotionally or mentally. You have to walk through this in your own time. Give yourself grace
Mm,
and don't allow anybody to limit the amount of time that you have to heal.
absolutely. Yeah. And that's something to understand. A lot of people put themselves in a box and they say, I should be over this by now. Or you tell others,
Yeah.
you should be over this by now. It took me 8 years to even begin to heal from my daughter's loss. 8 years
Yeah.
before I even accepted her death and said,
Yes.
this is a problem. This hurts. 8 years.
Yes.
And so to
Yes.
sit here and say after 6 months, you should be over it, you should have moved on. That's bullshit.
Right.
That's
Right.
that's so
Right.
incredibly unheard of.
Right.
And then not only that, but it took you years to pile on this trauma and pain. I mean, we
So
went
how
all
are
the
you
way
gonna?
back to 4 years old with you. 4 years old.
That's right.
We dug in
That's
deep.
right.
4 years old is where your trauma began. So how do you
That's
expect
right.
yourself to heal, even in 3 months, to heal from how
Completely.
many decades of pain and trauma you went through?
That's right.
It
That's
takes
right.
time
That's
and grace
right.
and mercy, like you said, and patience with yourself. Because also, as you pull up these layers of pain, it
Yes.
releases anger, it releases resentment, it releases depression,
Yes.
it releases anxiety. And so
Yes.
you have to be willing to work through that too and realize this is coming from this pain and trauma that I've just peeled back. It is not
That's
me.
correct.
It is not
Yeah.
me. Your emotions are not you. It is a
Yes.
piece of you. It is not who
Yeah.
you are. And so you
Yeah.
have to be willing to accept that and move on.
That's correct. You know, and another thing, if you find, because I'm the kind of person where I'm just like, okay, let's get to it and let's get it done. If I'm going to do it, when I get to the point where I'm ready to do it, it's like, let's do this and let's get it done.
Yes.
But it doesn't work that way when you're dealing with, like you said, layers of things. Sometimes what will happen is that you will find those same emotions coming up and you're like, wait a minute, I thought I was done with this.
Oh my gosh, so
And
many
the,
times.
and the reality is, no, this is on a different layer. So I'm back to one again. I'm
Before,
back to one. I
before
have to do this again because I'm going through something different. I'm trying to heal another layer. I'm trying to heal something else. So I'm back to one. So that's why I'm feeling this emotion again. I know I don't like it, but let me walk through it.
mm-hmm.
And it's just a matter of walking through those same steps. Okay, what am I feeling? What's happening? What do I need to do? Who do I need to watch? And take notes. And you know, it's amazing because you will find when you are searching for healing, you will find the people that will speak directly to your situation.
Absolutely. You know, what's really funny is when a new client calls me, they always say, after we've spoken for a little bit, they say, this was divinely led.
Yes,
God brought me to you. And my answer always
that's
is,
right.
of course it was. No one comes to me on their own.
Right. That's correct. That's right. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Well, Liz, thank you so much for sharing your healing journey with us and your experiences and all of the little
thank
nuggets you gave
you.
us. So many nuggets of tools and ways to work through our pain. I appreciate it so much. And thank you for just being raw and vulnerable with everybody.
Thank you for allowing me to come on and just talk a little bit. I appreciate the space to do it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Everyone, thank you for tuning into the Belief Breakthrough Show yet again. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please do so now and click on that bell so you are notified every single time we go live, Monday and Wednesday evenings at 6 p.m. Pacific time. If you would like to begin your healing journey today, there will be a link to my free Finding Direction course. And it is a course that takes you step by step through beginning the process of taking action and healing your life. Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye. Let's see.